most of the holidays were like political.
Mm-hmm. My mother sometimes told me she was singing the song like the party is always right.
After Ukraine got independent and there was like a lot more freedom, they started searching for spirituality and they found God. They started going to church. Like their life started like shifting and changing. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is another episode of our living room podcast with my husband Paul.
Hello.
Because we love talking about all things fun and interesting, life, art, society, culture, and we just had Thanksgiving, Christmas is on the way, so this time is really just made us think of our personal culture and what we want to establish. So we want to talk about it a bit more today. I grew up without like clear sense of culture.
Mm-hmm.
My parents grew up in the Soviet Union, right? So the Soviet Union fell apart in 1991 and Ukraine got its independence. And then I was born in 1995, so like 4 years later, like into independent Ukraine, while economical crisis, while all kind of things happening, like the whole system of how country and people live is like just falling apart and like reshaping and like starting over, like the money crashed, like everything crashed. They were like just really stepping into it. Like there were a lot of good things coming up, like religious freedom, freedom of speech, like many good things, but also because it came with a lot of crashing of the old. And it just I don't know how they lived through this time, honestly, and it's really interesting that for you it's pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
With, like the timing is a bit different with Eastern Germany, but it's pretty similar. And so this is like the outside, like what is happening. But then there is a culture aspect of Ukraine had its own tradition and culture and like all kind of beautiful things and really authentic. And its own language, but then during Soviet, and the Soviet rule was like pretty long on our territory, was like just basically taking it apart and like trying to erase the cultural identity and everything that was part of the culture.
Yeah.
So Soviet created its own culture, and my parents grew up in, like their whole life they lived in Soviet.
Mm-hmm.
And the main holiday was New Year. Christmas was not a thing.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah, like there was no Christian holidays allowed, and they grew up in a really like the party was God, and the party was the main like moving force, and I don't know, everything was around the party. So most of the holidays were like political.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then there was New Year, where
isn't it crazy how, sorry to interrupt, but like you can see similarities to today, you know, and it's always the same, you know, like it's the same kind of attacks
rounds.
Yeah, on society.
Yeah, so anyway, I grew up because my parents grew up like that, and then suddenly changed. And also my parents, after Ukraine got independent and there was like a lot more freedom, they started searching for spirituality and they found God. They started going to church. Like their life started like shifting and changing in many different aspects. So then there was like all of these things, like how, like, do we celebrate Christmas now? Do we celebrate Easter? How do we celebrate it? Because it was not a thing before. Or like, what is the main holiday? And I grew up like, because they still had New Year as their main holiday. Like they didn't really had like a tradition of Christmas. They would go to church for Christmas, and they will bring us for Christmas to church, and like we will like watch a play and do something, but it would be like something in the church. But like at home we would not have Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wouldn't be a thing because I didn't grow up with it. And I just like now, as we are married
and we create our own culture, we're trying to proactively
like choose
yeah.
what we're gonna celebrate, how we're gonna do it, what is gonna be like festive and celebrated and meaningful, like how to make those things meaningful that you didn't grow up with.
Mm-hmm.
like if you grew up in confused tradition, and I would like to hear how you grew up, like with holidays in Eastern Germany or after. Was it similar? Was it?
Yeah. Well, so I was definitely very blessed to already grow up in a free Germany, right? After the wall came down, Germany was reunited, and I mean, for my parents, that was a really different reality. They, I believe, they also had Christmas, yeah, and they celebrated some Christian holidays. I mean, Christianity wasn't like really free, or I mean, sometimes if you go to church, you know, you couldn't
go to college.
Yeah, you can't go to college. Yeah, that's just how it is, right? Because
or if your parents go to church, you couldn't go to college.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really
so
cool.
If you have personal beliefs, if you believe in God, or you know,
it's not allowed.
It's just not allowed.
It's just not allowed.
You can't believe in something else than the party, in socialism.
So it's really similar.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my mother sometimes told me she was singing the song like the party is always right.
We had the same.
Yeah.
Not me, but my parents did. Yeah.
Yeah. So of course the party tried to shape all kinds of culture, right? And yeah, but I mean, I was born in 1994. Wall was down, no more socialism. You know, Germany became a democracy.
That's probably even earlier, right, than the fall of Soviet.
After. I think. Yeah.
Even after.
Soviet Union, I think.
91.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I was born in 94.
No, when the wall came down, it was before.
Oh yeah. I think the wall came down 89. Yeah. So we did celebrate Christmas, which is nice. You know, with a tree and presents, right?
Mm-hmm. And it was more Christmas than New Year, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like it was 25th.
Yeah, 24th in the evening.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I did not have it. Like we only had like watching TV and the concert and the president for most of my life.
Yeah.
And then having this like big table, and then like New Year's Eve was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know in Europe in general it has a bit more Christian history, I guess. So the Christmas was a bit stronger always than just New Year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we also celebrated New Year, definitely, and it was similar, but it wasn't such a strong.
Yeah, it was a bit faded.
Yeah, it was like, okay, after Christmas, New Year, but it's not like super important now, you know. So yeah, thank God we didn't have these like super socialism inspired things in Eastern Germany anymore, or in Germany, free Germany. Yeah, but now we are at a point where we want to create a culture, and we have also the opportunity, I think it's a good thing, to be able to create a culture.
Yeah.
That we like.
Find out though, like we're figuring out like that it's just so much harder to create culture when like you didn't grow up with something. And like I'm learning also like now, because I did grow up with Christmas, it just wasn't a big thing. So like I like it more than New Year. I feel like it has more meaning, and for me, like I believe in God, so like it has just deeper like roots for me than Christmas. But it's like it's still, even like with all of the things that you understand with your head, it's like just having emotional connection to a holiday when like you had zero experience of it, like as a child growing up, and then it was just like changing every year of like, I don't know, it's like throughout me growing up, it was just like so many changes in the society and in my family, and like because country would like slowly shade all of these layers of what socialism brought to their life, but there is still like our grandparents, the socialism and the Soviet Union was like the greatest thing for them, because their youth was spent like in this time, and it's not even like they're missing the system, they're just missing the time and the things and what they did as young people. So for them it's like they hold on to this so tight, and they couldn't like quite see the value of independence. So like because of grandparents you still celebrate how they want, and my parents, and then we like dragged into that, and now it's like we are a family, and for us it's like really similar story, where like, okay, how do we create something and establish our own like culture of living life, celebrating holidays, because holidays is part of culture, like food is part of the culture. It's something that will build initial memories for our children and our family in the future. So it's really important, but it's like, how do you have the emotional connection to it? How do you like have this the same, you know, like I talked to my friends in US, and for them it's like generations of Christmas, for example. It's a generation of like
Thanksgiving, for example.
Of Thanksgiving, like we just had Thanksgiving, right? Like
we try to do our first as a family Thanksgiving because we like it, you know. I think we both like it. It's a nice holiday. They came from the United States, and people were really thankful.
It's only in the United States. Maybe Canada. I think Canada and United States. But here, like in general in Europe, or especially like Eastern Europe, it's just not a thing. It's like it's not our history. But we found it fun. It's like it's a good thing to take a day to be grateful for.
And also to remember, hey, it's a Christian holiday, right? Like people were really, especially in the US, you know, they came to a new land. God gave them a lot of like everything, right? Like land, food to eat, and they were grateful. So out of gratefulness, they created this holiday.
It's I feel like it's good to be thankful and to think for all of the things you are thankful for in your life. So I think it's great, but it's like it's not our history, it's not our story. So as so many other things. So how do you do it? How do you like when you don't have any like emotional connection, like you were a child and your parents did this and every year it was the same, you know, like how, I don't know, it's just interesting. I just found it like around holidays I think about it a lot, because I post also on my social media like, hey, happy Thanksgiving, because everyone, like my audience is like American mainly, or like international, but it's a thing. Everyone I follow like celebrates Thanksgiving, and then I post about Hanukkah because I was exposed a lot to like Jewish holidays and traditions, and we celebrated many of them because we just found them really biblical, and we were part of like the congregation that was like it's Christian but was implementing a lot of biblical Jewish holidays. So I'm not Jewish, but I grew up also with like a lot of Jewish holidays on the side, and then I have all of this like just parts and pieces of memories from all kind of different upbringings and traditions and cultures, and I'm like, what a mess. What a mess. Like I have no idea, you know, like how to put it together and how to be fully grounded in what I choose to have in our life as a family.
I think really in our generation still it's going to be just, we have to try and figure it out, you know, but the true like blessing is going to be on the children, on the next generation, who will grow up with more like grounded routines and holidays, you know, and like also intentional culture and intentional holidays, not just something that got dictated down by some political party or whatever.
How do you make them intentional though? Because look, if today we think like, okay, this is the greatest thing, like that's how we're going to do it, like we're going to put a Christmas tree, we're going to do this and this, and then in the 5 years we're like, well, I don't know, like we evolve. Like if our children ask like, why we do this or this, and like I feel pressure sometimes of like, I have to figure this all out because I don't want to create confusion my children, because we want to have children, like I don't want to create confusion for my children growing up and like not knowing what to answer them, you know, if they ask like, why do we do this, or I don't know, I want to have them have the safety in a way that I didn't have, because my parents were coming from so many, like every year like something new happening, and they change their mind of how they think about stuff. And
Yeah, I think what we just really have to do with things that we're pretty certain about, we just have to do it and stick with it.
it's hard though. I feel like it's really hard. Like the world in this generation just got so much faster. Like we have so much access to information and social media, and like we not living anymore like, you know, in one piece of land for like decades and having the same like way of life. Like we have so much freedom and access, and we travel and we meet people with different beliefs, with different cultures, upbringings.
We had to take a quick break because some canvases got delivered.
Yay.
For more paintings to come.
Yeah.
Like this one.
By the way, we are moved our living room podcast to our new living room in the studio.
Yeah.
It ended up being a bit too messy to carry all of the equipment from the studio home and back, because I'm filming here everything that I create, and we film vlogs here, and then living room podcast we were filming at home because it's nice and cozy, but the lighting is not as great and we need to carry all of the equipment. So now we made a living room corner in our studio, and I'm so happy. I love spending time here, reading books, drinking coffee. It's perfect.
And you can always put new art here. It's amazing, you know.
Yeah,
we have a constantly changing living room decoration
Yeah, it's really nice.
going on because you're producing so many nice paintings.
Yeah, I need to
Every
paint more,
month.
but so anyway, this topic kind of randomly popped up because this is like in this season of holidays and of everyone celebrating something that is either part of their country culture or just family culture or both. We found ourselves on the edge of wonder of how do we celebrate and what do we celebrate and what do we want to establish as a new family, international family also. This is like another fun element to all of it. That I have Ukrainian culture, but upbringing of post-Soviet, wherever you have post-Soviet in a way as well, but German culture, and we are.
But we're both also really international, so we travel a lot. We have so many different influences from everywhere.
So it's like we come along really well on the things that we value in our like family culture, but it's still a lot of things to figure out and to like set some, not a structure, I don't know, I mean Paul probably wants a structure for it as a good
like
German.
a culture, really. A culture.
Culture is a system in some way, like
we have holidays, right, and special things that we celebrate.
It's cycle. It's cycle in some way. So we for sure know, I mean, we haven't arrived yet to this is exactly how our life will look like. Probably never.
We never will, but we know it's really important to create a good culture for our family, right, for our children, for us. What do we like, and we want to do it, and I think it's also a great way to just be strong and individual as a family, right? Individuality is the most important thing, I think, in a free society, and just being able to create a culture that we want to create is a wonderful thing, and it will help us become even more individual and strong together also, standing together as a family.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also goes hand in hand with like art, because art is like, when you an artist, I feel like it's important just to have a sense of culture and belonging to, like, because art is part of culture. Art is what creates culture, and I do have ambition to create culture through the art that I make and through the influences that I have through the work I do and through the art that I create. So it's really interesting topic for me, and I just realize also the importance of, like, if you really want to like impact society and if you want to like shift and change things in the world. Like you have to know on what you stand, and like you have to have a sense of belonging and a sense of just identity, in a way, in order to be able to do that. So that's why I believe it's important to figure out, because I noticed it like already with like interviews or like little things like that. Like many things I just don't know how to answer, because I'm like, well, I grew up with all kind of like influences. I don't have this like one strong like red line that goes through my whole life and shapes like how I see the world. It's a bit like all over the place. It feels like it. Not necessarily bad. I think it's a blessing to be able to experience like so many different things and to find way to overcome and to like really narrow down and to choose, have freedom to choose. But it is challenging when you have to make those choices yourself. Freedom is could be challenging.
Let us know what you guys think about culture and how you do your family culture. I would be really interested in how other people, do that. Maybe you have generational culture already and you don't need to change anything, or maybe you're in a similar situation and you just want to create something new.
You already established some traditions, and doesn't have to be like holidays even, just like something that you do in your family, in your household, that is like really created a sense of like personal culture. Like I'm really interested in that. I'm really love learning from different people and their life journeys.
Well, thanks so much for watching another living room episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
And we will see you next week.
Julie? No. 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 Relax. Relax.
Let's go.
Yeah.